I know I keep making this empty promise, but I'm going to try to make this as quick as I possibly can because I've got a number of things that I need to get done right now. And besides, this is not going to be quite exactly a straight commentary either, since there are going to be a couple of photographic images I'm going to supply to kind of help further the story along. They're not really important or of any necessity, but just something that I think would actually help set the tone and give a little bit deeper insight as to what exactly it is I'm talking about. But anyway, this has to do with what I think is another epiphany on my part, despite the fact that I keep saying that I'm pulling away from this issue. Every rare once in a while, some little thing just manages to keep crawling up and oozing to the surface to where it's like, hey, there's an angle that I didn't focus on, that I didn't really spend a lot of time thinking about. I need to address that, and then hopefully just bury the dang dead body once and for all. So hopefully this will be a wrap up. I'm hoping, I'm praying, because like I said, I like to get off this topic. I'd like to have gotten off of it 2 years ago. We see what a success story that was, huh? But anyway, this relates to a response to a comment that was made by Longlocks82 on a video which asked the question, why are black men so lazy? And I originally tried to post an answer to his comment on by way of backlash 5-star, only to find out that this particular uploader had blocked me for some unknown reason, because to my knowledge I never had any kind of beef with this person. We never got into any sort of a tussle or tangle with each other. We never had words or anything. So after a little bit of confirmation with my XO, I kind of find out that maybe, as I was suspecting might be the problem as to why he might have put a secret block on me, was just the simple fact that perhaps he got extremely annoyed at the fact that I was somewhat instrumental, or I took an active part in exposing that chronic lying bully attention whore jailbird fraud, the one who claims to be related to our latest U.S. Supreme Court appointee, but somehow can't seem to get her to call in on his fake radio show to verify that fact. So I'm assuming that being another Tommy Dick writer, he just decided that, well, hey, backlash from this moment on is persona non grata. But suspecting, as I did, that by blocking 5-star, because that's pretty much where I do all my activity now, I made the assumption that that backlash for real was still pretty much not being messed with, since I actually held on to that one for such a small period of time anyway, as far as being active on it, that I've just essentially translated it over into strictly an archive channel, and all of whatever I have listed over there is part of my playlist on 5-star. So for real is essentially just a ghost account for all intents and purposes. There's absolutely nothing that I'm doing there to really try to keep it alive. I'm just using it for housing my archive projects from way back when, from when I had my first Backlash channel. And so, taking advantage of that, I was still able to make my comment to Longlocks' comment. And in essence, what Longlocks was saying, he was like one of only 2 people who actually commented on that video upload, who seemed to understand some basics as to what the problem was and where our attention should lie. And everyone else, it just seemed to be more of the typical emotionalism and a bunch of the conspiracy theory nonsense and whatnot that we always have to deal with, and with those from our community. So I really wasn't feeling a whole lot of that. But as I was saying, apart from one other comment which I thought had some validity, I decided to respond to Longlocks is because I think he had more of a firmer grasp as to what was going on. And And his statement was, very short, simple, and straight to the point, where he essentially says that the reason that black men are lazy in this country is because we have no real incentive to change. And he kind of like left it open-ended like that. And so in my response, or in my reply to him, I stated that I elaborated a bit more as to why, or what I felt that lack of incentive was. Now see, since he didn't go into any extra detail, he could have meant something entirely different from my interpretation or my speculation as to why I feel that there's this lack of incentive among black men. But until he's going to work on his particular project, because well actually he says he does have a video addressing this issue, so perhaps I can catch wind of it, or he'll let me know, or maybe it's one of his older uploads, which was a result of his the flagging campaign, getting its stuff knocked off and having him not have it up there. I'm not exactly sure which. Maybe it's the upload on one of the salvage channels or something. I'm not exactly sure. So maybe he'll give me some insight as to which video upload that was, or is, depending on the current status of that video, and I can determine whether or not I understood where he was coming from or not. But either way, I did make this particular comment expressing that as the way that I've been explaining it ever since I've been starting this whole thing and I've been talking about this subject, has been in relation to the fact that black men are really not going to have any sort of incentive until black women demand better of black men and decide that in order for a black man to be worthy of a black woman, the black man has to prove himself worthy. And so we have to listen to black women when they express things like, well, you have to be of a certain character, you have to be a respectable type of person, blah, blah, blah. And then suddenly, as I was starting to say this, I just got hit with another epiphany. Because it's just as soon as I had started typing that those little bit of elaborations as to why black women are responsible for black men not having the incentive to change and do better, I think I came up with what I think is like this wake-up call. It just like hit me like a ton of bricks out of nowhere, and I think I finally figured it out. And if anybody thinks that I'm late coming to this realization, or they hadn't thought about this before themselves, or just whatever the deal is, but I think after all of this, after finally listening and scrutinizing everything that everybody's had to say on this whole topic, both from the black men and black women, both those who are less than desirable on up to those who claim that they want, who are of some sort of character or some sort of dignity about themselves, I really had to come to some sort of awareness as to what's keeping us from doing what we know what we need to do on both sides. And again, as I've stated tons of times, and as I will keep saying, in order to save the black community from this nonsense, the black woman has to take charge. She shouldn't have to take charge. Don't get me wrong, I've always stated time and again, this should not be the black woman's job. It should be our job as black men, simply because of the fact we are men. But again, as this video uploader pointed out, black men are lazy. And that doesn't just mean lazy in the field of employment, which was what he was focusing on, but we're lazy about becoming men of character also. And so, as I've stated time and again, because of this laziness, if that's what you want to call it, the only incentive that black men need to do either or is, if you'll excuse the expression, black vagina. Unless the black woman demands that you go this way, or we're not going to accept you, we have to accept you on our terms, that's the only thing that's going to motivate black men to fall in line with black women. But then I had to keep thinking about the long history because we hear the same rhetoric over and over and over and over and over again, non-stop. And it's the same mantra. Niggas ain't shit. Niggas don't do well. Niggas they don't take responsibility for this, that, and the other. Niggas don't want to get an education. Niggas just want to lay up off their ass and lay up off under a woman, and they don't want to do this, that, or the other, and they just want to take advantage of this, that, and the other, that. It's all the same. It comes from your classy black women. It comes from your hood rats. Every single black woman out there spouts the exact same rhetoric. And yet, what's the problem? Why? Why? Somebody please tell me why. For all the words that are flowing out of their mouth like verbal diarrhea. And yet, there's no change, there's no repair. The kinds of men that keep getting the positive attention, that keep getting the positive feedback, that are being rewarded with sex or attention, are the very ones these black women keep complaining about. Or they're saying that they're not the kind of black men that they want, and yet these are the black men who prosper. Why? And I think I finally figured it out when I made this comment to Longlocks. Because I had to come to I needed some insight as to why there's it's like this endless circular argument. You've seen how these little charts go. They'll start with one problem. They'll say, well, the next step is down in here, and this cause and effect, and it'll go around and just one tiny giant circle where each little point keeps leading back to the next point, keeps leading back to the next point. Eventually, you come right back to the very beginning and start the process all over again. And this is what it's like, this is what it's been like with black women and this whole so-called gender war thing. We keep complaining about black men. Black men aren't doing, black men aren't stepping up, black men aren't handling their business. But as soon as black men actually do that and listen to the complaints, do they get rewarded? Do the black women pay them any attention? No, until they go and what they call hop the fence. Suddenly, all niggas, as soon as they get a little success, as soon as they get a little money, as soon as they get a little something about themselves, and they want to leave black women, they want to go after the white meat, they want to just... But wait a minute. First of all, these are the same guys you said you wanted, but when they became the kind of guys that you wanted, you didn't want them. But when they decide that, hey, since you don't want us, we'll go someplace that does want us, and now you're complaining about, why are you going over with those people who want you? We're the ones who want you. So it's that same old bullshit routine. And I needed to understand why that was. And as soon as I answered this question to Longlocks, I finally figured it out. It's not a mystery to me anymore. In fact, instead of just trying to elaborate, I'll just read verbatim what I wrote to Longlocks, because this is probably going to be the easiest way that I can get this thing out. I stated that in fact, just let me read the whole thing, because I don't feel like looking through for the actual clause that made the biggest point. So I said, Locks, yours is the realest answer thus far. I've elaborated on this endlessly, explaining that the lack of incentive is due to too many black women settling for whatever and not demanding that black men present themselves as something better and honorable. Now here's where I came to my awakening and my awareness with this clause. And I'm beginning to suspect it may be because once black women inspire black men to make those positive changes, the women will find themselves getting passed over for women of other races, because the men will likewise start to demand better of black women. Just my opinion. And I didn't think deeply about that at first after typing it, but the more I mulled over it, the more I realized I'm willing to bet the bank that that's probably the truth. Black women are afraid of black men changing, or they're afraid of gravitating toward those types of men, the ones who do make the effort to become honorable men of character or whatnot, because I think somewhere inside them They're afraid, they're deathly afraid that once they start gravitating toward the kind of men that they claim that they want, they all swear that they want this kind of men, then seeing what black women have to offer, these same black men who did better for the black women would possibly turn right back around and hold the mirror up to black women's face and say, sister, now it's your turn. We made the positive changes for you, now it's your time to make the positive changes for us. And the last thing a black woman wants to do is to admit that she needs to make a change for the positive. And I use as my support for that this upload by Statuesque1. For those of you who may have remembered it, if you don't, go listen to it, go check it out. This is the one where she asked the question if black women are working against the black man, and she gives her reasons, and she explains in different conversations that she's had with black women, and she comes to the conclusion that yes, black women are working against the black man. But I don't believe that she came to an understanding or a realization as to why that is. I don't know, I may have to re-listen to the video again to see if she touched upon that or not. But see, the way it sets now, it's easier for black women to complain about the problems with the black men than to risk the fact that the black men actually might change. Because by black men changing, then they become more appealing to those on the outside, if you will. Because keep in mind, there's a draw that black men have on women of other races. See, we're not just black men are not just valued or at least found desirable in the eyes of black women only. Women of other races are also looking at black men, and they're snatching up the quote-unquote good ones, if you ever notice that. And so there's that angle of it, and also I believe, as I've stated, that black women are afraid that once a good black man is made, because like I said, a good black man can only be made, he's not born that way. So this is a process in the works that he has to become this kind of man of character, with or without the help of the black woman, but especially if it's with the help of a black woman. I think black women are afraid that once black men get up on their game, then black men may demand of black women reciprocity. I think that terrifies them. And this comes from, just like I said, this comes from classy women just as much as it comes from the hood rats. There's no difference between them, and I'm beginning to understand now why black men, whether they're sincere or whether they're just woman bashers, but I'm beginning to understand now why they say that this problem permeates throughout the black female collective. It's not just a hood rat problem. It's not just a middle class black woman problem. It's not just an educated black woman problem. It's not just a working class black woman problem. It's a black woman problem, period. And I honestly believe I've filtered it down to its real root cause. The insecurity that if I can get him to change and he changes for the better, then he may just turn it around on me and say that now I need to make some concessions in that direction as well. And I don't want to do that because of whatever. I don't know. I don't know why black women feel that it's only good and proper for the black man to change, but they don't change themselves. And again, like I said, I have to wonder why. Well, why are you even complaining about it? These are not the kind of men you're going for anyway. If these are the kind of men that you honestly truly wanted and you are making an effort to go for them, I'd shut my mouth. I wouldn't say a doggone word. I'd say at least you're trying. If the men reject you after you've brought them, helped try to bring them to a point of awareness and they didn't want it, or by the time they got there they just started shrugging their shoulders and acting whatever, then I'm like, okay, well, fine, you've got a point. But if they're going to become the kind of men that you claim that you want, and you're not reaching out for them, and you're not demanding that they pay you first attention, so much so that you're saying, hey, you're a good brother, you made the changes for me, let me show you how much I care about quote unquote black love and let me change for you too. And so it's no secret to me now why brothers are either hopping the fence, or you get those who are in the camps of like Soul and Black and others who are saying, hey, stick with black women. Just don't deal with black women in this country. So it's not an anti-black woman thing. It's an anti-North American black woman thing. Because there's just this attitude that just poisons black women here. And for the longest time, I kept trying to understand. I kept trying to figure it out. I mean, years and years and years I've been trying to understand this. And this was long before anything about video upload sites or anything. We've noticed these patterns, and it's only now that I think I fully understand. And this is the only thing that I can think of that makes any rational sense as to explain why this trend continues as it does. Now, can it be fixed? I don't know. Personally, at this stage in the game, I think it's just a hopeless lost cause. I'm not going to discount any hope at all, but I'm just saying that the odds are strongly not in our favor. So how do I end this up? Do I plead to the sisters and say, hey, maybe it's time for you to reevaluate yourselves or get with the program or anything of that sort, or do I just wash my hands of the things and just say, sisters, we tried, you didn't want it, you made excuse on top of excuse after other excuses, and we're going to go do our own thing, you're on your own. I don't know what the correct answer is, but I do know this. If black women truly desire black men, the type of black men that they claim they desire, then again, just as I said with them making black men change for the better, in this situation, it's exactly the same. The ball is in their court. They have to make the decision to do and to effect a positive change. And if they're not willing to do that, then I guess they're just going to be left holding an empty bag. And will I feel sorry for them? No. I've long since gotten over my concern about this whole thing about keeping it black, or brothers ought to pay attention to the sisters, or we need to fix and we need to unify and all that stuff. After that, all this tragic history I've seen my people go through, I just say, you know what? Let me go. I'll do my own thing. As long as I'm taking care of myself, I'll be the best representation of the black community that I can be within me. The rest of it, if y'all don't want to get with the program, then fine. You do you. You continue to suffer. You continue to go down on the downward spiral, and I'll be waving goodbye at you as my ship is sailing off from the docks. So, I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of at this point, because I don't know what else to say, and I don't know what else to think. So I'm just leaving it at that for your consideration. End of line.